I am an individual. I want to highlight that in a way never before shown to bring the avenue to each individual on what that actually means. That sounds really complicated, doesn't it? Well, I want to delve into actually reflecting on that wavelength, and I will put out the blueprint for what that looks like. This comes from an observation I had. This becomes a habit of my thoughts to analyze in this way. Sometimes you analyze so much using certain techniques, but they never really begin to touch down until you start to find sports metaphor to really hit the home run of thought technique by being able to reach for a wavelength. Once you have resonance with that wavelength, that is going to be the combustion engine of what exactly it is you are going for. You color it in by your response to everything else you think about and what your self-concept is in relation to that creative wavelength. So there is a relationship at play to the lion wavelength that is the high priestess of what you are going for and the sum total of all the other thoughts in relationship to that one thought. This new thought, or this new trolley, is going to be volatile. It's going to come in the combination of a myriad of energies, but you're going to feel the unit or cluster of a certain pinpoint of focused light, and it's going to be the world that you're going to extract. The sum total of what you call your memory, or what you have, is going to be reflecting and forming geometries to a whole reflection of a certain point or a certain center. There's chemistry surrounding the centering of a focused point. And from this technique of looking at things, I can begin to turn trolleys into businesses, that is moving work. So I, in my self-concept and my consciousness and belief patterns surrounding the subject that we are going to call fame, can come up with the actual trolley that I'm pulling down. The lion and the cage and the structure for the lion. I want to reflect that trolley as something in motion that will be a wavelength, that will be a pattern and habit forming. I am building points of focus through my attention to them. The lion in the cage is going to be the part of a person that becomes famous or that they become known for. This is Bill Gates to the idea of the contribution of software. This is how Mark Cuban reflects on Warren Buffett and the idea of diversification in trading. Each of us as individuals are already famous. We are famous to those surrounding us, as Kurt Cobain of Nirvana posted the lyrics, "A little group, it's always been and always will be to the end." So the light shines on each person in their habits and their way of life. Two people form a reflective room for rhetoric between what is resonance in their experience. An individual comes into the world with energy in their own direction, and they begin to explore in ways that maximize their focus on a subject. And a person is born a lion in a cage. So that lion could be world peace that festers and grows. In the same way, using the zodiac sign of Leo as a culmination of all the zodiac and the representation of the action of all the signs, we can see ourselves as that lion or that king in a world full of many other individuals. So an individual that has taken creative control of their life often decides to call themselves entrepreneur. And as Mark Cuban calls business a sport, we can now draw some clarity that makes it very refined and reflective. What Abraham Hicks calls the focus wheel is now going to be the very business plan. Thoughts are not one-dimensional. They follow the pattern of the life cycle. So each thought you see can now be a circle. You can see the whole circular process of invention and reflection of that product. So now we can turn out some technologies that are truly beautiful. When using my own energy, even here, I can then reflect on the idea of my lion, and you will begin to feel the click-in of exactly what it is that I have. So now we can update the blueprint to add some information to it. Retraction of focus from the self-concept is another form of technique. You may use "I get pissed." Rather, this is productive or not, it's still part of your focus. There is a grander, I will call it creative science, I call the scramble. And in the scramble, you can use your thoughts to travel far distances in space. And you can begin to use that thought space and that thought pace to draw down a sum total of all that is in your area of expertise. And we can use dimensions and the invisible word that we call memory to begin to map the collective brain through the very portals in the form of word structures that we have. When I pull the trolleys down, it is in the form of a focus wheel. When I'm studying the science of the scramble, it becomes deeply personal to my self-concept. Where is God in all this memory? God is the very fabric that allows the mind to stretch. And what we do with this space, we call it experience. Once you have the memory, you then have the experience. When you resonate with a thing, it is then added onto you, and you can put it through your concept of techniquing. I wake up in the morning and I reflect all the energies that are pertinent to what all else is going on. Then I can start each morning and each morning star in planetary alignments and take the totality of consciousness and reflect over top of it the point of attraction for the next big creative thing, of which this video is going to develop on this idea. And I will use this wavelength now as the basis for a business plan, which I will call random.com, which is a domain name for sale, as a place for people to use this creative energy wavelength in swirling green and blue colors to begin to post their own thoughts and their own use of exploring. Random means without pattern or without form. And that's what this is the creative process to drawing these down.